Walter?
Kathleen or Gary, if I may, how was the present Farmers Market Advisory Board created? If it was not a mayor-appointed, council-approved, where did it?
The farmers market management has been, how shall I say, not the smoothest operation. There's been some degree of disagreement between the market manager, who has been the arts director, and the vendors for some time. Because of that disconnect, and because of the fact that the Moscow Arts Commission over the years became less willing to become overly engaged in the farmers market other than through the arts director, that when Dina Heath was the arts director here, in an attempt to engage the vendors in some semblance of representation, the 7-member Farmers Advisory Commission, or not commission, Farmers Market Advisory Board, consisting of farmers market vendors, was created as a way to have a unified vendor voice to the Moscow Arts Commission.
Created by
staff's recommendation to the MAC, and the MAC indicated that they thought that was a good idea. So it was not by action of the City Council. It is not a recognized board of the City Council.
Nor are they appointed by the mayor.
Exactly.
And just, if I may follow up,
Sure.
when I liaisoned with the Arts Commission, I thought there was a advisory subgroup of the Arts Commission, not vendors, that was speaking to market policy.
There was a hybrid subcommittee at one point, and the Moscow Arts Commission had a liaison to the Farmers Market Board, the advisory board. So again, this is, I think, one of the things that I think the vendors will agree, that it is a hodgepodge of kind of a meandering trail to get policies done. So the commission, of course, would be a way to make a direct path. So the constitution of the board aside, it does create a pretty clear path to getting policies in front of the City Council.
And they would not go through the Arts Commission. It would come directly to the City Council.
They would have the same status as the Arts Commission itself. So yes, they would be a sister commission and would have direct access to the council.
Dan?
I see in here it talks about creating a commission that would replace the current management structure that involves the MAC and the advisory board. But are we talking about, I mean, we don't have any control over the advisory board. We're not making them disband in any way by creating this commission.
The Farmers Market Advisory Board can continue in an unofficial capacity as they have. If they wanted to have a unified voice representative to the commission, they could. They would have no separate legal status or any special status.
They currently don't have any.
No, but because it was
other than that's the de facto recognized.
Exactly. It was a method to increase communication. Right. Because at one time there were different vendors all having separate voices, and as it occurred, it just became a management problem, and a lot of the vendors didn't feel they were being represented. So this was a way, that was an attempt to get that done.
To me, it's like we are actually codifying this board into something that helps create policy rather than just being an advisory position.
Yeah, if I can comment about that, the discussions about transferring the Farmers Market Advisory Board over to this commission, increasing the number of vendors on this commission, is not something that typically the City Council does, and that is take a special interest group and give them authority, a supermajority, if you will, or the ability to build a coalition with only one additional vote to get a majority on a commission. If you take the Transportation Commission, which is perhaps our most diverse commission, it has representatives of truck jobbers, it has representatives of pedestrians, bicycles, public transit, the council sought to cast a wide net to get all kinds of different interests involved so that the homogeneous product would be one that would be beneficial to as many in the community as possible. That is the purpose here, to give, with all due respect to the vendors, to give one interest group, even though they represent different facets of the vendors in the market, still gives them a very solid block, which could, if organized, could move this commission in a direction that perhaps is not the direction that the public, whose market it belongs to, would want to go. So the idea is to make it a diverse and diffuse and interested group where nobody has more say than the rest of the folks.
So, Gary, I would say that I actually sought out that diversity on the Transportation Commission
Understand.
and presented that to the council.
You bet.
But there's not a solid reason that this commission would need to be limited to 9 members. It could be 11, as we've heard discussed here.
No,
as a
and if I
possibility.
can comment about that.
Please.
Having been in this business a long time, as a lot of you have been on boards and commissions for even longer than I've been with the city, a commission becomes less effective proportionate to how many members are on it. If you get, for instance, I remember having a discussion with Mr. Zaretsky, a 16-member board to try and manage a farmer's market is unwieldy. Without subcommittees and a management team, there's really no way you can get that done. And then you get into questions of quorum. People become disinterested because there are only one voice in 16. The typical commission that works well, and I think our URA is a great example of that. We started off with 3 commissioners, expanded it to 5, now we're at 7 because we sought to draw in the county commission, representatives of the city council, so on and so forth. Pretty good size right now. The reason that this was set at 9 was that you could cast your net pretty wide and gather as many of those special interests as possible with a fairly manageable commission. 9 is typically what we consider to be manageable.
I think the difficulty comes from the diversity that we've heard described
Understand.
tonight, and even among market vendors. And so the question I have, and the thing that sets this commission apart from others, is that some of these members' livelihoods depend on their participation. And because there is a monetary interest, we heard Ms. Boothman suggest election, and that would be something unique among commissions. And I don't know that I support that, but I wondered if there could be some mechanism. I'd like the council to entertain the possibility that maybe because the diversity of market vendors is such, they are competing with each other in their livelihoods. They cooperate, collaborate, but they also compete on occasion. And so rather than put that in the hands of a mayor and council who may not know so much about the dynamics of the vendors, I wonder if you might all consider some mechanism that would make the selection of those vendor representatives somehow unique. I don't know the answer to that. I really hadn't considered that. Gary?
If I may,
Please.
the council very well, or the mayor, could very well ask the vendors to elect a person from each of those different classes of vendor and make that recommendation to you, and you could pass that on. That's similar to what the county commission does now with our URA appointment. They make a recommendation to you, you forward that to the city council. So that might serve the same purpose.
So they would essentially have to keep their market advisory board in place then to facilitate that kind of a
They could if
vote,
they
is that
wanted.
right?
They could if they wanted. Again, it's whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Sue.
One of the things at an admin committee, we were discussing the formation of this commission, is that the council be advised at least quarterly. As, there was not an annual, like some commissions just do an annual report. But since there's the pre-market planning, there's so much involved in that. And then there's during the market and mid-market and end of the market, that the council be kept in the loop at least quarterly. And I think when the commission has its meetings, that various vendors, and if they chose to keep the Farmers Market Advisory Board in, informally, they can present. So, we've heard so many different opinions and ideas and input, and I think all of that could be funneled to the commission. And as the commission makes quarterly reports to us, we can be involved and not be left out or left behind or uninformed. But there's just birdshot of shotgun pellets of all different opinions everywhere, and I really think it needs to be funneled through the commission. And the commission would be diverse enough that they could distill, make some recommendations to the council, and then it would be more manageable.
Wayne?
One of my concerns has been how not to marginalize or demarginalize the Farmers Market Advisory Board. They've done an awful lot of hard work. Their hearts are really in it. Their lives are in it. And but I do believe we need to move forward with creating this commission. And I agree with a 9-member commission. And at this point in time, I agree with how it's being made up with the particular appointees as they are. But I don't see this taking the FMAB out of the picture at all. I think that they need to maintain their strength. They need to maintain themselves. And they would have absolute open meeting with the commission at their monthly meetings. And they will have a monthly meeting. I think actually even more access to them on a communication basis than you do at the city council. I don't see the management of the farmers market changing at all right now, even with the formation of a commission. There'll be a transitionary time as the commission is formed and as they begin to get their feet on the ground and get a feeling for what it's all about. I very strongly suspect that whomever is going to be appointed to this commission, they all will have been very involved with the farmers market. It won't be anything new to them whatsoever. Their hearts will be in it. As far as comparing that with the Urban Renewal Agency, it's really not quite an apples-to-apples comparison because the Urban Renewal Agency is actually an entity of its own, even though it reports to the city, too. So I just wanted to clarify that. That being said, I think I'm going to make a motion to adopt the ordinance creating a farmer market commission under suspension of the rules requiring 3 complete and separate readings, that the ordinance be read by title and published by summary.
Second.
Okay, we have Wayne's motion and Tim's second. Walter?
2 things, if I may. Does that include taking out the word advisory from the draft ordinance we have in front of us?
It would.
Okay, that was one.
Yes.
And Tim, that's your understanding?
That is.
And secondly, if I may, I wanted to speak to the makeup of the commission. It's interesting that Gary brought up the Transportation Commission, because I'd been sitting up here writing down how 14 years ago the Transportation Commission was created with 2 bus people, 2 bike people, 2 university people, and 2 peds. And pedestrians.
What's it? Pets.
And a single occupancy vehicle person who just happens to be the speaker at this moment. It worked very well. It taught me appreciation of buses and bikers and university interest and pedestrians. And I think I possibly taught some of the others the fact that some of us use a car to get around because we live on the far edge of town or we're too old to ride a bike or whatever. And nobody had any real majority interest. And I thought that you bringing it up and the mayor commenting on it showed that you don't have to load a commission in order to prevail in a point of view. You can do it from a minority standpoint and still, with a good argument and a lot of work, get your point across.
We do it all the time.